Hello viewers, you're watching RSTV's special edition, the Question Hour show from the Parliament House complex, the show where we bring you important unstart questions asked by the members of the upper house. I'm Kriti Mishra, and joining me is my colleague Rajat Kain.
Well, thanks Kriti, and thanks to your viewers for joining us on this edition of Question Hour on Rajya Sabha TV.
Well Rajat, as you know, Question Hour is a very important tool in India's democracy as it gives the members of Parliament, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, an opportunity to ask questions from the government as ministers are collectively accountable or answerable to the legislature. Now, there are different types of questions: the start questions, the unstart questions, and also the short notice questions. Start questions are those questions of which answers are given orally on the floor of the House.
The other category is the unstart questions, where the answers are deemed to be considered to be laid on the table of the House after the end of the proceedings of the day.
And this show of ours focuses on the unstart questions or the written questions of which the government gives a written reply. Now Rajat, let's begin the show.
Sure.
And the first question in this edition of the Question Hour show is from member Susmit Patra. And this question pertains to the Department of Space. And Mr. Patra has inquired about the details of Prime Minister's vision of India's space program.
Well, giving a precise reply, the ministry said India's space program is focused on peaceful use of outer space. Towards this, space technology should be used for benefit of the country and society, provide solutions for developmental activities and address problems of society at large. It should be used as a tool for planning, monitoring and evaluation of national level projects and thereby managing natural resources. Now, space technologies should also be used for enhancing the scientific temper in the country, provide means to explore space for better understanding of our universe.
And Rajat, in the era of social distancing, member Susmit Patra joined us through a virtual platform. And this is what he had to say on government's response to his question and the developments that have taken place in the space sector. And joining us on the Question Hour show is Rajya Sabha MP Dr. Susmit Patra. Dr. Patra, welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, and thank you so much for joining us through this virtual platform.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's lovely to interact after a long time, after almost 3.5 months with Rajya Sabha TV. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. We've been interacting with you in the Parliament House complex, but of course, this is a different era that we're living in. So virtual platform it looked like a tangible solution. But talking about your question that we picked up for our edition of the Question Hour show was about vision of the government in terms of outer space. Tell us about the relevance and importance of the issue.
You see, space development for India has been an aspirational area for the last few decades. And right from the time that Rakesh Sharma went to on the space, there has always been this fascination with Indians that despite all the ails that we live with in our society, space has always been so aspirational that it always gives us a sense of privilege, a charm, a sense of happiness when we see the Mangalyaan or we see the Chandrayaan or we look at things. So it comes from a very basic understanding of space, and considering that my father used to work with Indian Space Research Organization, therefore it's also a personal connect. And I've always felt that India has got tremendous potential in space exploration and space development. Having said that, the question was basically meant to understand from the Honorable Prime Minister that what is his vision in terms of space exploration and space development for the country going forward. So over the last 5 years, he's been the Prime Minister. The next 5 years, already 1 year has passed, another 4 years are there. So where does he want to take it forward? So this was the basic idea with which we started. And the answer, if that's something that we can speak about, the answer, I was expecting a more, what I should say, descriptive answer. But of course, as a vision, it was probably more limited to some specific areas. So the answer that I've received is limited to the area of space exploration for national development, for resolving issues of national interest, and it should be naturally so, because whether it's in terms of weather forecasting, whether it's in terms of sending private smaller satellites to space, and therefore becoming a commercial entity, being one of the top players in the world today, which we are. I think those are areas that have been actually provided for in the answer, very rightly so. But I would really look forward to I'll probably rephrase my question in the coming days to the Honorable Prime Minister on space, to look at more specific areas of international collaboration. Because we have indigenous technology, which is one of the cheapest propulsion technology that we use in our satellite, in our rockets. And therefore, the kind of satellites that we produce is one of the most cheapest in the world. It's less than 45% of the cost than that is actually used by European and American countries. So that gives us a huge competitive advantage in the international market. So therefore, my understanding is India, what is its vision? What is the Honorable Prime Minister's vision towards developing space technology, especially in the international era, and positioning India as one of the main players, if not the main player, but at least among the top 1 or 2 or 3 players in the world, to order to actually execute space exploration, space development, and be a pioneer with technology. So that is the basic thrust, the vision with which I set out the question.
Dr. Patra, as you know, our show focuses on the questions that were asked by the members of the upper house, the written answers given by the government. Of course, this answer that you sought from the government was in the month of March. Till then, a lot of things have changed. Now, Cabinet has also paved way for participation of private sector in the arena of space. How do you look at the move?
I think it is a fait accompli. Because why I say it's a fait accompli, primarily because without space, without a private sector in the space domain, it's not possible for a government, any government for that matter, to be able to fund and commercialize the entire exercise. While we will be using satellites and space technology for the national interest, whether that is about geo-mapping, geo-tagging, we are looking at identifying soil types, where it is talking about agricultural patterns or weather patterns, or even like recently in Odisha, we have this Bhubaneswar land use information intelligence system, which basically geotags government land and identifies if there is an encroachment, and in real time tells the government to immediately take action. So all of that is happening in real time through satellite and space. So therefore, there is a lot of advantage that a country like India can take from space technology. But having said that, considering the limited investment, and more so with COVID now, the kind of budgetary cuts are going to be there, it will be very difficult for the government to shoulder the entire expenses. And therefore, a private sector coming in will bring in that extra bit of entrepreneurship, probably an infusion of capital, which might help the space development, may not be into the strategic areas of defense and national interest, but could be in terms of commercializing areas where we could become the launch pad for many of the satellites from other countries, could be African countries, Southeast Asian countries, or even European countries for that matter, to actually become the launch pad for them and be a cheap technology that we have and use it more effectively, and therefore become a major market player. So I think that is where a private sector infusion would definitely go a long way in doing it. But I would again say there needs to be a caveat that the kind of information that we have at the space domain, it's rather confidential, classified. So while we do engage with private players, we also have to draw a very thin line between what is national security and national interest and commercial and private equity. So when that is very clear for us in our mind, I don't think we will go wrong anyway.
Well, that's a very important point that you're making. And lastly, I'd just like to know, what are your suggestions to the government in this regard?
In terms of space development, I have about 2 specific suggestions. One, let's develop human capacity. Unfortunately, in our country, we are expecting people to become geniuses themselves and then come to Indian Space Research Organization. But unfortunately, we do not have doctoral grants that are enough in aerospace engineering. We do not have enough scholarships for students right down from the undergraduate and the postgraduate levels. Where are the incubators? Where are the scientific labs where children can actually exercise? And it doesn't have to be only higher education. Because of COVID now, a lot of it is going to become virtual. So if you're going to go on onto a virtual platform, you're going to have hybrid education. That's one that you have to bring in. Second, please build capacity in terms of technological innovations. Now, while we build best satellites and the best propulsion technologies in terms of rockets, we should also be able to use that. For that matter, I'll give you a personal example. My father used to work with the Space Application Center, which used to be the behavioral applications in Ahmedabad for Indian Space Research Organization. So what they would do is they try to see how best can space technology be used for human applications. And then from there, the television started. That's the history of Indian television. It was not the Indian INB which started. It was the Indian Space Research Organization which started. I think that has stopped somewhere. We have to find out more space applications for the common man. So while we aspire for the moon and the Mars, we should also aspire to see that we make value additions in the agriculture field, in health, and in forestry.
Absolutely. Those, I'm sure, are important points to the government as well. But Dr. Patra, you joined us through this virtual platform, shared those details with us. Thank you so much. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you so much. And you too, stay safe, take care. Jai Hind.
Well, moving on, next question was asked by member Dr. Satyanarayan Jatia from Ministry of Power, and the member asked details of the hydropower plants with production capacity and years of foundation, and also details of the quantum of electricity generated by each of them and their production capacity as on 31st December 2019.
So as we know, this response was given in March this year, and I'm sure the figures have gone up. But now let's see what the government had replied to this question. And the government said that as on 31st of December 2019, there are 204 hydropower plants above 25 megawatts of capacity with total installed capacity of 45399.20 megawatts in operation in the country. The answer also mentions about the state-wise details, and also the government says that at present 36 hydropower projects aggregating to 12409.5 megawatts capacity are under construction, and also 7 hydropower plant projects totaling to 2181 megawatts are presently under detailed project report or pre-construction stage. And also the details are given in the annexure in this response to the question. And moving on to the next question that has been asked by member Sonal Man Singh, and this question pertains to the Ministry of Tourism. And the member has asked the government whether it has noticed that the image of our ancestral art forms that is being tarnished in the name of tourism promotion, and also the steps taken to preserve our tradition or culture in tourism events.
Replying to query, the ministry said no, the Ministry of Culture organizes activities and events with objective to promote and conserve the various ancestral forms of the country. Now, cultural activities and programs are organized by zonal cultural centers. At the same time, the Ministry of Tourism promotes the culture, heritage, tourism products and pilgrim places in domestic and international markets for promoting tourism in the country. Now, roadshows, India evenings, Know India seminars, which are regularly organized in the overseas tourism generation markets, showcase these products. In addition, the Ministry of Tourism also organized Bharat Parv and Paryatan Parv in country with objective of drawing focus and benefits of tourism and showcasing the rich cultural diversity, which includes cultural programs, food festivals, tourism exhibitions, display of handicrafts and handlooms, yoga session, tourism and heritage walk, sensitization and awareness programs, seminars and workshops. Also, the National Mission on Pilgrimage, Rejuvenation and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation Drive, that's in diminutive form also referred to as Prashad, was launched by Ministry of Tourism with objective of holistic development of identified pilgrimage and heritage destinations. Now, since its launch on January 2015, the ministry has sanctioned 28 projects in 17 states under the said Prashad scheme. Well, moving on to the next question that was asked by member Kanta Kardam from Ministry of Science and Technology. The member asked whether scientists of Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow, have developed disease resistance variety of poppy which yields various types of straw and seeds, which has been granted US patent for it.
Well, the response given by the government is in affirmative, and the government says that CSIR, Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, has developed a disease-resistant variety of poppy, and patent grant date is March 18, 2003. Wide US patent number US 6534696B1. Now, the poppy variety Rajat is resistant to downy mildew and tolerant to both damping off and collar rot diseases as compared to all other release varieties such as Sanchita, Vivek, Shubhra, Jawahar 16, Shama and Shweta broad, which are susceptible or highly susceptible to all the above mentioned diseases. Leaf margins of the new variety Rajat are medium fringed as compared to medium broad leaf margins of Sanchita, Vivek, Jawahar 16, Shama and Shweta broad. The variety Rajat also recorded significantly high seed and straw yield. Benefits of the patent are secured for a period of 20 years from the date of filing. The variety is being used in breeding programs of the development of more high-yielding varieties of opium poppy resistant to important diseases. And the next question has been asked by member Saroj Pandey, and this question pertains to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And member Pandey has asked the government about the details of schemes implemented to increase the production of renewable energy in view of environmental ill effects of non-renewable energy.
Well, in its reply, the ministry said that the government has set a target for installing 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by the year 2022, which includes 100 gigawatt from solar, 60 from wind and 10 from biomass and 5 from small hydro. These are the sources of the energy drawn in gigawatt units. Now, a cumulative renewable energy capacity of 85.90 gigawatts has been installed in the country up to December 2019, which includes 73 gigawatt from solar, 37.50 gigawatts from wind, 10 gigawatts from biomass and 4.67 from small hydropower. Further, an additional capacity of 34.16 gigawatt is under various stages of implementation. Well, moving on to the last question of this edition of Question Hour that was asked by member Vandana Chavan from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The member asked about total number of abortions conducted in India in past 3 years and the current year, and what are the state and year-wise details, and also whether the government is aware about proportions of unsafe abortions across the country.
While giving a detailed reply to this query, the government says that as per the National Family Health Survey of 2015-16, 46.6% abortions were conducted by non-doctors like nurse, A&M, thy, family, self or others, and 27.4% abortions were conducted outside any medical facility, public or private. Provision of comprehensive abortion care services is an important component of reproductive, maternal, newborn, child, adolescent health and nutrition program under Government of India. National Health Mission provides support to the states and UTs for following activities to promote safe abortion. Now, these include provision of comprehensive safe abortion services at public health facilities like SDH, like CHCs, 24/7 PHCs, or where trained medical practitioners are posted. Provision of fund to states and UTs for procurement of equipment and drug, including pregnancy detection kits for early detection of pregnancy. Capacity building of ANMs, ASHA workers to provide confidential counseling for safe abortion, post-abortion care and post-abortion contraception. Provision of funds for information, education and communication, and also material, flip charts, leaflets, ASHA or ANM booklets. And lastly, comprehensive abortion care training and service delivery guideline 2010 has been revised in 2018 and issued to all states and UTs in the country to facilitate quality care.
Well, that's it. Well, that brings to an end this edition of Question Hour. Thanks for watching Rajya Sabha TV.
And stay healthy.